We put a lot of weight onto our overlanding vehicles. Ours is no exception. Welcome to Get Out Go, I'm Christoph. Today we had SACE to have a look at a few upgrades to our V8 Land Cruiser.
Green Sally down, last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, Green Sally down, last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, Green Sally down, last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, Green Sally down, last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, Green Sally down, last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, Green Sally down, last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, Green Sally down, last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, Green Sally down, last done start, gotta tell the ground. Oh, Miss Lucy dead and gone, left me here to weep and moan.
Performance upgrades have come a long way from the days of the backyard tuner who would bolt on a high-lift camshaft and a drainpipe exhaust for instant horsepower. Modern upgrades are the result of many hours of research and development using sophisticated testing equipment to monitor not only power output but also drivability and reliability of the vehicle. Today we're visiting Steves Auto Clinic Centurion to leverage some of these skills for our 79 series. First on the list is a dyno to determine current performance values of our 79 and to rule out any potential pre-existing issues.
Dyno tuner is basically a tool. Dyno is a rolling road you use as a tool to tune a vehicle. So it just makes it much easier for you instead of going on a road, driving the tuner vehicle on a road, and you can actually simulate everything on a dyno on the road. So it helps you can stand still, you add gauges to vehicle, airflow ratio gauges, boost gauge, and even your diagnostic tool, look at live data, look at intake air temperatures, everything on the vehicle, and really give it a bit of horns on it and see what happens to the vehicle. It does saturate the temperatures and see the health check of the vehicle. So you can do a lot of things on the dyno and it just makes it so much easier instead of going on a road. On the factory, they're actually called calibrators. I know actually a VW calibrator for VW. So they will design and develop with the engine and with the engine engineers and the software and the calibrating engineer. They will calibrate one system, file on it, and they will actually start producing mass production of the vehicles. And then as they go, so we'll find even at the same car, same day, same time out of the factory or 10 minutes apart, they will never be the same. They're two different worlds, two different persons. They might be close within 5%. There was times actually I found vehicles that's out within 30% out, different from other vehicles. So that's where the dyno and the tuning, which you can use Unichip, standalone software, whatever you want to use, would prefer to use, you actually go and you just fine tune the vehicle for its optimum performance. Yeah. Because they will never spend the time on each vehicle to, if you take 30,000 vehicles and you spend time 2 hours on one vehicle, how long is it going to take? That's what they do on Ferraris and Porsches, but not on commercial vehicles and Toyota and Volkswagen and stuff like that. So each one of them actually are different and unique. So that's why we use a dyno to do a health check, make sure the vehicle is fine, is it happy, even though it's low on power. It's just you can see, okay, now there's room for improvement. It's not a problem on the vehicle. It's just how it came out of the factory on itself. So in this V8 VD cruisers, you can actually go quite far with them, with power-wise. There's strong engines mechanically. There's a lot of companies overseas here, what we do. You can go higher flow injectors, then you go much bigger turbo, front mount intercoolers, intakes, all kinds of stuff. You can make huge horsepower. So we're not here for that because fine, you can build it, then you're going to go do some drags, the farm drags, and have fun with it, but it's not really reliable. It's not a vehicle you can go away with. It's guaranteed you're going to go from here to Cape Town. You're going to make it. If you have a vehicle like that, make sure you make reservations for Korsberg. You can sleep there or wherever. but yeah, it's not going to last. But yeah, they've got a lot of potential. You can go very far with them, with horsepower wise. Obviously, everything around it needs to be upgraded, like clutches and brakes. So if you need to stop. So there's a lot of potential on these cars here.
Next up, we'll be upgrading the clutch and the turbocharger.
Okay, so a heavy duty clutch, or the reason why you upgrade a clutch, obviously when you start producing more power or torque, if the clutch can't handle it, it's going to slip. So you're not putting your power down to the ground. So on a clutch is very simple. Basically, it's got a pressure plate, which is this. You got your clutch plate, and then that's your release bearing. So the main thing is on a heavy duty clutch is basically your pressure plate. That's basically what they, as the name says, a pressure plate that engages the pressure against your flywheel, that engages your car to your drivetrain, that you drive. Now the first step I do is that the spring fingers on the pressure plate is much more high tension. So they actually measured with newtons. So you put it on a pressure on a bench, like a hydraulic press, and it will press against the forks till it's starting at its release point. That release point indicates how much torque it can handle. So in this case, this clutch can go up to about 1,200 Newton meters. And then including that is we've got a secret about it, is the way the flywheel is schemed. That helps it to make it so much more better, so it's more smoother. That's very important, this is scheming on the flywheel. And and then the clutch plate, the design and material on the clutch plate itself, what they use, how strong and they can handle heat and dissipate heat on the vehicle. So if you, with a clutch that's not a heavy duty and you start working a lot, you'll see it will start overheating, it will start slipping and burn much easier. With a heavy duty clutch, in that case, that really doesn't happen that so quickly on a vehicle. So a clutch is very simple, it's all about mainly the pressure plate that actually engages the pressure against the flywheel and makes sure it's strong enough to hold the pressure, and there's no slip allowed. We do find it on a lot of cruisers, especially on the cruisers, you start doing tuning on the vehicles. On the dyno itself, I actually start slipping. So we see that a lot. A guy will come in and do some software and exhaust, and then they're 2,000 RPM, they just start slipping, and it's all over. Then you have to do a clutch, especially on the cruisers. So the gearing on the landcruiser, it's very common actually. A lot of people is doing it. The second and fifth gear. The strange thing is that actually all those Land Cruisers in Australia, they come out with that gear set. It's very interesting. I don't know why in South Africa they come out with that, but so all they do is the ratio is a bit lower on the second, longer on the second, and on the fifth gear is also a bit longer. So you're bringing your RPM down from where you're at 120 km an hour, about 3,000. You bring it down about to 800 RPMs down. That's actually a very specific, perfect point for the vehicle, the Land Cruiser, because that's in its maximum torque range. You want to be in your fifth gears between your 2,000 and 2,500, 2,700 RPM. Now with this conversion with the turbocharger and the clutch, and with the second and fifth gear, with the amount of torque it makes, you're going to be in fifth gear and you're going to cruise very nice. You're going to enjoy it. It's not revving the engine high, because it's also not good for a diesel engine continuously at 3,000 RPM. They're not designed for it. So doing the ratio is a very good thing to do, and especially if you've got the tuning and the garage correct, it's going to add with your fuel consumption because you're not revving the engine higher. And if you've got enough torque, your ratio is correct, you're not going to have hard on the throttle to get power. So you can actually increase your engine life and better your fuel consumption of the vehicle on it. So that's a very nice thing to do, is the gear ratio on it.
Let's talk a little bit about turbo upgrades.
On the turbocharger, the first thing about the turbocharger, so 101, it's an air pump. It's basically what it is. It's forcing air into the engine, more air, more fuel, more power. So the thing is about a turbocharger, they're different sizes. So when you start spinning a turbocharger higher, or you command more boost out of the vehicle, obviously you're spinning it faster. Once the turbocharger starts spinning faster to get your target value of boost, you're actually creating more heat out of the turbocharger. Yeah. And actually basically wearing the turbocharger mods out. Then what happens, you create heat, hot air going into the engine, it's lower power. I mean, there's quality of air going into the engine. So now what we do is, if you can take a standard turbocharger, you're boosting hotter, you're going to lose power basically. Even though you got an intercooler, you're defying the object, it's not going to work. It's going to work, but not as like it should. So now what we do is, when we take a turbocharger, upgraded turbo, a lot of you call it a hybrid turbo, you take the standard turbo basically of the vehicle, and then we modify it. So what we do, the first thing we do is we modify the compressor side. So the inducer and exducer is going a bit bigger. And then the compressor wheel is a billet wheel. And then obviously the core of the turbocharger gets changed to a new core. It gets getting better thrust washers. Basically all around the turbo is better to handle more boost pressure. A hybrid turbo, standard hybrid turbo from us, can handle about 2 bar boost pressure, but we don't go that far. We can, but we don't go that far. I'm not going for that point. So now you got a turbo that's more volumetric efficient. Let's say for argument's sake, a standard turbo at 1.5 bar boost will go 250,000 RPM. Now with a hybrid turbo or upgraded turbo is more volumetric efficient. With 1.5 bar boost is going to go down, the turbo speed is going to go down to 170,000 RPM. So now you get turbo that's got better flowing air, more volumetric efficient, it's not heating up the air as hot, and it flows through cooler, and it's cooling much better, and the air going into the engine is not, the quality is better. You don't kill oxygen molecules, because as air gets hotter, oxygen level goes down. As the air is colder, oxygen level goes up, so you need better oxygen inside the engine, that creates more power. So with a combination of the 1.5 bar boost we boost with that turbo, as itself, with no tuning, you can actually see, just even with standard boost pressure, you can see better power increase on the vehicle and throttle response and power response out of the vehicle with that turbocharger. There is different applications and sizes. If you go too big on a turbocharger and you induce an exducer side, you'll experience a bit of lag on the vehicle, but more power and increase high side. So what we're trying to do is we try to balance the torque curve of the power. So we got a diesel. You can't rev a diesel 3.5, 4,000 every day, all day to get your boost parameters. So what we focus on with the development we did with the turbo with turbo shop is that we have a huge amount of increase on low down power and a very nice gain if you look at the graph up to about 3,000 RPM. And then also you don't 3,500, you don't drive there, it's not an all day driver there, then you tap a little bit off the power. So your torque curve is beautifully and very linear with the tuning as with the turbocharger. You'll find with a too big turbo, you'll find a huge dip in power from 1,000 to 2,000, just over 2,000 RPM, 2,500 RPM onwards, it will actually start reducing power on the vehicle. That you don't want. So when you drive off-road, four-wheel drive, you want that instant power and response of the vehicle. No.
So after all the upgrades, it's time to see the results and remap the ECU accordingly. There have been significant gains in both power output and torque, but without going overboard and jeopardizing reliability. Finally, let's talk a little bit about SACE.
SACE is known for many years as just a performance company, which is not only that, we're not just a performance company, we're actually a service and repair and maintenance center. And then performance part is just basically a very big bonus part. That's our heritage, but we also do maintenance, service, engine rebuilds, everything we can do, we do. All right, and then obviously the service, the performance part we do as well. So I just want to clarify because everybody thinks they come here, oh, do you do services? Yes, we do services. So we do maintenance repairs. So we at SSC, we do everything, engine rebuilds, from racing support. We shall be approved. We support Lindenberg Racing, and we're passionate about everything we do.
So this is the first time I'm taking this on the highway and boy does this make a difference. I I am not exaggerating when I'm saying this feels like a completely different car. There's certainly a lot more low down torque, which is going to be really nice in low speed technical 4x4 driving. And that's one of the areas where we're starting to see issues. We've added a lot of weight to this, obviously, and I think this is going to go a long way in sorting that out. Generally, the torque curve just feels a lot more natural, a lot better. So yeah, it's I think worth the expense and effort. And SAC certainly did a great job here. I hope you enjoyed this episode, albeit a little bit more technical than usual. We will obviously update you as we go, but safe to say, very happy how this turned out. Thanks for watching. Until next time, get out there.
Green Sally up, Green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, Green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell